and welcome back. So let's talk about the actual code that we use to keep score. Okay, so here's our game. This is similar to the games that we built last time. We have an avatar right here. The gray squares are the actual ground. It's just the places where the avatar can move. And of course, the avatar can run over a bit of gold. Whenever the avatar runs over gold, then the gold is deleted. It's consumed by the avatar, if you will, and the score should go up. Now, down here is where we represent the score. So, take a look at the gallery. Okay, right here we have all of our agents, and in particular, this agent called Digit. And Digit, as you can see, has several different depictions from 0 through 9. It also has a minus sign, although we won't actually need that. Okay, and let's examine the code. So the behavior of Digit, as you can see, the key is right here at the top on increment. Now this is something that gets it's the trigger, it's the method that says when should this particular method be executed. Like I said, that's the trigger for that method. And these are the choices while running, which is the default on a particular method. On increment is what I called it, or INC for increment. When creating a new agent, that happens at the very beginning of time when you place it on the worksheet. Also tool, so right here you can say when the user presses the arrow or the finger or any of these, the hammer. And finally, if you actually click on it with the mouse, and there's lots of, if you have the Alt key down, the Control key, and so on. Okay, so those are the triggers. And right here, our trigger is on increment. So whenever this digit gets told to increment, it checks. And notice that it's seeing right here in the center. Okay, it's not looking left, right, up, down, just right there. If it sees a 0, then it changes its own depiction to 1. If it sees a 1, it changes it to a 2, and so on. The real interesting one is down here. If it sees a 9, then it takes a look. Okay, it looks to its left and it says, do I see a digit over there? This is a new command. It's not C, it's CA. Okay, the difference is subtle. When you say C, what you're looking for is a depiction. Okay, it's the graphics. Do you see this graphic right there? When you say CA, what you're talking about is the type of the agent. So the type of the agent could be background, could be a bad guy. In this case, is a digit. If I see a digit to the left, then we simply change ourselves to 0. We're now 10, and so we have to carry the 1, and we do that by making that digit that's to our left increment. Okay, that's what's happening right here. Underneath that, you'll see another rule. If we see a 9 right now, but notice that we don't have this see a digit. What's happening is that if you see a 9 and there's a digit to your left, this rule will execute. It'll change ourselves to 0 and we'll increment the digit that's to our left. But if we don't see a digit to our left, then what we'll do is we'll change ourselves to 0 and we'll create a new digit to our left, and the initial depiction is a 1. Okay, so that's how incrementing works, okay, for the digits. Now, if we look back here at the worksheet, you see that there is this box that there's this agent here called score, and right to his left is a digit. Okay, now the reason that we have to have score is because the digits should not be actually listening to increment that's broadcast, and that's going to get broadcast whenever the agent consumes one of the gold. Okay, the reason we don't want that to happen is because we don't want all of them to start incrementing. It's only the leftmost digit that should increment, and then it starts telling all the other ones to increment as necessary whenever there's a carry. Okay, so we don't want them all to increment. If we did, we'd start with 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, and so on. That's not at all what we want. So this is just special. And let's look at what he has. Notice that he has only one rule. When you increment, all it does is it says, hey, whoever you are to my left, increment. Okay, that's it. The other thing that it has is right this rule, it says set. score to score plus 1. And notice the ampersand in front of the score. What that says is we're going to set a simulation property or a global property called score. Whatever is current value, add 1 to it, okay? Simulation properties start at 0. First time you tell it to increment, it'll become 1, then it'll become 2, and so on. So that's what that's doing there. And by the way, bring up the actions palette right here. Attributes right here. The attributes section is where we have the set command that actually displays it on the screen. There's also some other things we can do, like we can plot it to a window. We can even do, well, we can do some fairly fancy things that we'll talk about later, okay? But right now, all we're doing is we're setting it. The one missing piece is how do we actually tell the score agent to increment? And that should happen whenever we capture a gold. And the behavior of that is going to be in our, main avatar. So look right here. If the right arrow is pressed and we happen to see some gold on the right, then what we'll do is we'll erase that gold. We're below the train whistle, which we've been hearing throughout this demo. Then we'll move over to that location, and finally, and this is the new step, we broadcast the score. This is the type of the object, so you see I could broadcast to fire, to digit, to bad guy. We broadcast to the score object's increment. Not to beat a dead horse or anything, but notice that we're broadcasting to score and not to digit, because the digit shouldn't be listening to the increment message that broadcasts whenever the score should change. Okay, so let's see how this works. I'm going to bring up another thing, which is the simulation properties, okay? And I'm going to put them right here. And you see there's only one simulation property, which is the score. Now, let's play our game. And this is a very easy game because there are no bad guys at all. So we succeeded. We managed to get one of the pieces of gold. You know that the score went up to 1. It'll go up to 2, 3, and that's just the scorekeeping routine is doing its job quite nicely. Okay, we're up to 8, 9, and now is the moment of truth, okay? Notice that there was always a digit to the left of score, but there is no digit to the left of that digit. So what will happen is this gun will increment, and then it will create a new digit right there. Let's see. Yep, there you go. Okay, so it went up to 0, created a new digit, 1, and we ran out of gold, so that's it. Okay, one thing that I want to bring your attention to is right here. This is the simulation properties. We only have one, which is the score, and you see that the final score value is 11. That's exactly what we expect, and it matches what the numeral there says, so that is all good. Okay, now let's reset this game, okay, and I'll show you some other things that are possible. So first thing I want to do is I actually would like to plot the score as we go along. Right here we want to plot the property score, and yeah, let's do it. Okay, so run our game. Here is the plot, and let's see what happens. Remove. Oops, we just caught somebody, and there you go. The score is going up as you would expect, and actually it moves up fairly quickly. So, but you can still see the spots where it grows. All right, let's stop this and reset it one more time. We don't actually need the plot, so I'm gonna get rid of it. Something else I want to show you is I mentioned earlier that you really only wanted one version of the score. Let me show you why. Let's add another one here. If I simply run it right now, first thing you'll see is that nothing seems to be happening to this second score, and the reason for that is that when it tells this agent that is here to its left to increment, but the only agent that knows how to increment is a digit, so we actually need to have a digit there as well. So that's why the initial configuration look like this. Okay, so let's try this again. We take one and notice that they're both incrementing, so we succeeded. We're showing the score in multiple locations. However, look at the actual simulation property. It says 6, and the reason is that both of these scores are incrementing, so they're changing the numeral, but they're both also incrementing the global simulation property. So it started at 0, then it went to 1, 2, and then it went to 3, 4, and then it went to 5, 6, and so on. So now we have a disconnect, that the score that we have inside our simulation is actually different than the score we're displaying. So don't do that. We only need to put it in one location. Okay, next we're going to look at some other properties that are actually critical to Pacman. In particular, we're going to talk about diffusion, temperature, and then we'll talk about gradient descent. I'll see you in the next video.